Okay, so yeah, the ladder reset happened, and that means that we can play some spicier decks without worrying about losing too much rank. And I saw Ali play this standard Delver list in his Cool Stuff Inc. video the other day. Deck's pretty sweet. So the deck is built around the card Delver of Secrets. So 1 for 1. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's an instant or sorcery, then you get to transform it into a 3/2 flyer. That's pretty good if you can make it happen. The problem is that in Standard, you don't really have the same library that you do in Historic or Modern, with good cantrips and good cheap spells that want a 3/2 early flyer to be able to beat down with. Standard's full of lots of great spells right now that you want to be casting, but none of them are super cheap. And Delver's only good if you have a pretty high density of instants and sorceries in your deck. So if you want Delver to be good in Standard, then you need a way to cheat. And the way that this deck attempts to do that is by running an absurdly low normal land count. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 13 normal lands, and the rest of the land slots in the deck are filled out with the Zendikar dual face lands. So we have 3 copies of Hagra Mauling, 3 copies of Agadeem's Awakening, 2 copies of Malakir Rebirth, and 4 copies of Jwari Disruption as well. And so all of these are either tempo-y cards like the Jwari Disruption, or ways to protect or recur your Malakir Rebirth. Like Agadeem's Awakening can bring it back from the graveyard. Malakir Rebirth can protect it from a removal spell. And Hagra Mauling is just there because you need more lands, and there just aren't that many good dual-face lands in Standard that fit in the Dimir colors. So the other thing that this deck does is, for its tempo plan, it gets to run a bunch of cards that are good against the top decks in the meta right now, or at least Izzet Turns, which is the current big terror. 4 copies of Malevolent Hermit, which is pretty good as a cheap answer to things like Galvanic Intervention, Galvanic Epiphany, whatever, the copy spell. Alrund's Epiphany, of course, is a big 7-mana sorcery spell that this 1-mana counter spell works pretty well to deal with. It's also a 2/1 that attacks on the ground fairly well. We've got 3 copies of Suspicious Stowaway, which can be a terror for the control decks as well. It's basically Curious Obsession and your 1-mana unblockable card all in one. And it prevents your opponent really wants to cast spells on their turn so that they can prevent it from becoming night, to avoid getting Curious Obsession to every single turn for the rest of the game. So that's pretty sweet. Leer is a 1-of in the deck. Not sure it belongs, but it's also pretty effective against decks that are not blue, that you do want to be able to have your counter spells available for. It's good against decks like Mono Green, where you don't care about the clause about spells not being able to be countered, and instead you just wanted to use it as a refill on turn 5 to be able to cast all of the spells out of the graveyard that you cast in your early turns. So, plan of the game, find Delver of Secrets, get it into play, transform it quickly, tempo the opponent out of the game before they have a chance to do more powerful things. Because we don't have a whole lot of power in the deck, we have to end the game fairly quickly. So, let's jump into some games and see how it does. I played one off stream already, and I was not impressed with the power level of the deck. Was able to steal 1 game, but ended up losing the match 2-1 to Izzet Turns. Some of that was probably because I misplayed. We'll see how this one goes. Hey, Harambe. How are you doing? Thank you for the resub. Appreciate that. It's been a while since I've been on. Glad to know you guys haven't forgotten about me. How have you been, man? Opponent is in the tank about whether to play first or not. It's not a great sign for us. Maybe it is. Maybe it means we're more likely to win. Okay, so we have this pretty awkward hand. We don't have Delver on 1. We have 3 copies of Siphon Insight. We're on the draw. This hand, I think, is probably too slow to continue with. Like, it's decent in terms of card advantage. The Siphon Insight is, like, fine, but we can get absolutely mauled by aggro, and I think we're too slow to pressure control effectively, and the Hermit's just not good enough on its own. So I think I'm happy to mulligan this one. You came here for the mono-white rerun. Okay, hopefully I'll get a chance to play that one later. This hand also kind of sucks, honestly. But I don't think we're willing to go to 5 in a deck that's full of cheap spells and 1-for-1 exchanges. So I think we're going to keep this, and I'm going to pitch the Bloodchief's Thirst in the hopes that the Witch can take over the game. Rockbell Vale. Interesting. Okay. So I think we are happy to just play the Jwari Runes tapped. What does this mean? Like, I don't think the Gruul Werewolves deck is playing the green-red tap land, but maybe it has to? I guess it is. So Ranger class obviously would have been one that we would have loved to counter, but we don't get a chance. So playing this on black for sure. Now, are we playing the Hermit to be able to block? Probably not, because they'll pump the 2/2 and push through it. So we want to kill this one way or the other. Do we want to kill it with Infernal Grasp? Do we want to kill it with Bloodchief's Thirst? Bloodchief's Thirst we know will hit the token. Infernal Grasp we can hold up, and maybe if they pump mana into the Ranger class, we can kill it in response to them pumping it. If they play a creature that Bloodchief's Thirst also hits, I guess we're sad in that case. I think we're saying go. And let's see what they do. Oh, this isn't the tap land. This is the slow land. Okay. All right, they don't pump Ranger class. I think that means we're supposed to take this too. Hope they play something bigger, kill it with the Grasp, and then kill the 2/2 with the Bloodchief's Thirst the following turn. Interesting. Okay. So I'm playing around our removal spell. I think we're pretty okay with this. We can play the Sedgemoor Witch and hope it doesn't die. The 2/2 will get in for 3 next turn, but if the Witch lives, then getting to cast our removal spells and get the pest out of the Witch is pretty good. All right, I buy that. These removal spells aren't going to get outsized by the token. If they pump counters into this token, then we'll get to remove that value from the game, essentially, by casting these. No blocks. We'll see what they do. Obviously, we're scared of, like, Chariot or something. That seems fine enough. Switch Stowaway, not at its best in this matchup. We're also missing our land, which sucks. So we can hold up Divide by 0 and make a 1/1 token to block whatever we don't bounce. And get Environmental Sciences, and hopefully next turn be able to unblock our mana a little more, which I think I like. We're not blocking with the Witch, so I think I'm happy to attack with it. And I think we're just going to say go. Yeah, so I think we're going to... We're just going to block this 3/3 and bounce the token to hand. Right? Right. And we're hoping that they'll pump the... Yeah. We were hoping they would pump the token, but they don't. Could have killed this pre-combat to avoid them getting the extra mana. Maybe that's right, but we do have 2 kill spells for whatever they do post-combat. But taking forever to decide what color mana to make is probably a pretty bad sign for us, because it means that they're likely to want to use all of their mana this turn. Which is frightening, but I don't think we can take any more damage at this point. Okay. Well, we're bouncing this token. Oh, we can't bounce the token with Divide. That's a good point. I forgot about that. So we're doing it the other way around now. Get our Sciences. And I'm just going to chump this. We'll see what they do. They keep hovering the Ranger class, which makes me think their play might be to replay this and then pump the class. Yeah, Chariot's definitely scary. But hopefully, like, none of this tramples yet. Hopefully we can just make enough pests that this won't be a problem. We did find a land. It is tapped, and we have the option, I think, for the first time in my Magic career, to actually cast Hagra Mauling for 3. Because somehow the opponent has no basic lands in play. That's incredible. I still don't think I want to do it. I still don't think I want to do it. I want to hold up removal. Casting Environmental Sciences makes us a pest and gains us 2 life. I think that's what we're doing. And hopefully opponent will suit up the Chariot and we'll be able to kill it with the Infernal Grasp. I think we want, in general, more blue than black in the deck. No reason to attack with the Witch, right? Because we'll just trade it for one of the tokens. Or if the Hydra's an annoying one. Still, Hacker Mauling does only cost 3. That's frustrating. We do need the Delver. It's kind of MIA. Hey, Empty Junior Girl. Welcome. How are you doing? How have you been? We are getting our asses handed to us, which is what we deserve for playing bad decks. I'm really not sure how we ever get past this on the ground without finding Delver. So what's this attack for? This is 3, 6, 10. Probably take 8, go up to 10. We can attack down red and 7 with the 2 tokens next turn. We can cast Hacker Mauling and Bloodchief's Thirst to make 2 more tokens. Yeah, I think I buy that. Not sure what we're waiting on here. They already played their Lair of the Hydra pre-combat, right? So they can't put a basic in play that'll screw with the Hacker Mauling. So I think, unfortunately, actually, we can't play both the Mauling and the Thirst because we don't have enough black because I chose to get blue with the Environmental Sciences, which maybe I shouldn't have done. Best draw on the deck is probably something like Delver at this point. I wouldn't mind drawing an untapped land either. Just make sure the opponent knows. Arena will hold priority forever as long as you have any mana in the pool. So that's probably what's going on here. Yeah, that's probably the Stone Cold worst draw in the deck. So what to do here? Casting Hacker Mauling is the only thing we would get to do this turn. If we did that. So that's probably not acceptable. I think we're probably Bloodchief's Thirsting the 6/6 and attacking down Bren. We get 1 token out of that. And then probably playing Hermit and holding up that counterspell for like a Chariot or something. Yeah, I think so. And are we playing the Mauling tapped or not? I think not. I think we were going to need an instant speed answer to the Lair of the Hydra once they start pumping it. Hey, HD. Trebek's in the chat for Trivia Master HD, who beat me down in Nerd Girl's stream yesterday. Yeah, that's a chariot. Okay. How are you doing, Ishi? Okay. So they're attacking for 3, 6, 8, 9. You can block one of it and gain one. I think we're in trouble. Evil Empire, the gang is all here. How are you doing? Welcome back. So in terms of sweepers, we have one copy in the main of Mitoke Massacre, but we don't have the untapped land to play it next turn. So maybe that was a reason to play the Mauling. But if we did that, then we'd be dead to the Hydra on the crackback. So not sure what our options really are here, realistically. Yeah, and our spells deck just isn't drawing spells, which is kind of tilting. Not sure what we need here. Like, we can kill one thing with the Hagra Mauling, make a token. So kill this, make a token, block the 3/3, still taking 4. We go up to 6. I'm not like dead, but it definitely feels pretty dead. What's the alternative, though? We can Siphon Insight and try to find like a 2-drop. None of this feels all that great. Yeah, I think we have to cast this Hagra Mauling, but I'm not really happy about it. You're currently adulting. That sounds terrible. I don't recommend it. And let's see, if they power up the Hydra, I think we're pretty dead. I don't really get to complain about people playing slow, because I know I'm probably one of the slowest players on the face of the planet, but this really can't be that hard a decision to make. Look fancy? It was cold. My furnace is broken. I needed something that was less cold. Alright, are we dead if they attack here? 4, 5, 8, 12. Block. Let's see. See where they put the counter. Sure. I think we're probably dead, but I'm not going to bother doing the math. Two, 5, 9. So we have to block like this, 3, 5. And we gain 1 from the pest. But the pest happens with the trigger on the stack. I think we're just dead. Yeah. Exact lethal. Okay, so what sucks in this matchup? Most things, honestly. Bring in 3 copies of Mitoke Massacre. I think Siphon Insight is pretty poor. Stowaway is actually, like, just completely awful. Is that the only change that we make? What else have we got? We don't have a lot of options in the sideboard. The Stroke is good against the Chariots and the Wrens. So that's probably something. I think the Duresses are probably what come out. Yeah, we want to keep Lyrian in this matchup as like a refuel later in the game. I don't know. This deck feels really clunky. It's cool getting a deck that can actually flip Delver, but if you don't find Delver in like the first couple turns of the game, then you're in serious trouble. Like Delver's power level on its own in standard right now, even if it flips, is still pretty modest. I think you probably need to find like 2 before you're like, okay, I have an opening hand that's going to win me the game. It's possible what we're supposed to do instead of bringing in the meat hooks is to like try to beat down the opponent. Because the meat hooks obviously have tension with a lot of the creatures in our deck, like the stowaways and the hermits and the delver all die to like any size massacre. It does provide like a little bit of reach. Like if you get a bunch of damage in early and the opponent puts a bunch of creatures in the way and the board stalls out, then casting Massacre can actually like deal the last few points of damage that you need. Okay, we found Delver, but we don't have the blue mana to cast it. We're really unlikely to find it. And otherwise the hand does very little. Yeah. I think we're supposed to keep this with the removal spell in hand. The Witch actually does something in the matchup. All right, we're going to keep and hope we find blue. On the play, I don't love it at all. I found this is a really tough deck to play. Like, it's... The problem is that, like, most of the Dimir cheap spells that you want against the decks in the meta tend towards, like, Dimir control. So you have your kill spells, you have your counter spells, that kind of thing. But Delver doesn't want really any of that. So you need to make decisions pretty early on about how you're going to actually win the game. Like whether you're going to draw out the game and win through attrition, like with Dimir control strategy, or whether you're going to win through Delver and tempoing them out. And the problem, I think, is that the deck doesn't really do a particularly good job of any of that. And we didn't find the blue, which was always a risk. That we can't allow to stick on the battlefield, unfortunately. It's another good one. Yeah, we didn't find the blue. At least we have a chance now to, like, take their chariot if they have it. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the ranger class, unfortunately, but I think we're just in deep trouble. Okay, okay. Sure. Why not? And if we don't draw blue here, then it's just a non-game. Then pumping the Stormseeker is nice. Because if we drew blue there, we could have removed that counter with the divide by 0, but unfortunately we're just super dead here. Not much we could do. I mean, like, the only decision we could have made there is Mull, which was possibly the right one, but we're so outpowered that turning away a 2 Delver hand when all we need is 1 blue source, I think is probably okay. All right, on to the next one, 0-1. So, like, pretty sweet hand against aggro. Pretty terrible hand against control. And in the dark, I think it's more likely to be aggro than control. Opponents in diamond, it's not that early to make diamond, I suppose. But it makes me think it's more likely they're aggro because they've played a bunch of games. I'm going to keep this. Not a huge fan of it, though. Okay, so it is mono green. Lead with duress if we want. Try to nab a ranger class out of him, and then next turn have the Bloodchief's Thirst available. I like that. There's the ranger class. They have Sika's Chariot, which the Hermit can be a decent answer for. They don't have... they'll play the Werewolf this turn. We can Thirst that. It's not terrible. We do need to draw untapped land pretty badly, because we want to be able to play the Hermit and have the counter available for their turn 4 play. Because if they land the Chariot, then I think this is tough. Hall of Oracles doesn't exactly do it. So we can play the Hall and cast Infernal Grasp instead of the Bloodchief's Thirst, but I think that we just have to get this out of the way. They also have the Faceless Haven, which is inconvenient too. We need the Grasp to be able to deal with that, I think. It's probably the best reason not to play it there. I also want the Grasp to be able to deal with the Chariot. Like, they have two threats that dodge sorcery speed removal pretty well, and unfortunately a lot of our deck is just that sorcery speed removal. So we did draw the untapped blue, which is pretty sweet. Unfortunately, this counter is face up, but I think it's still required. Because we can't let them cast Chariot. They have some little creature next turn. We can play the Hall, Sedgemoor Witch, and Thirst it if we want, but we do need to keep up one blue for, like, the remainder of the game to deal with this Chariot. Or, no, we don't. Okay, that's really scary, actually. I'm hoping they just forgot that was a thing. We can bring back the Hermit if we want. I think against mono green, we're just going to want to get the Sedgemoor Witch in play. This way, like, unless if they have untapped green, they can animate the Haven and Blizzard Brawl. Unfortunately, that's what they have. But if we could have gotten the Witch to stick if they had missed their land drop, then we would have been able to hold up removal in response to the fight spell here. Unfortunately, the opponent gets to have a pretty good turn here, attacking us down with the 5/3 Faceless Haven and killing our Witch. They pay 3 life for the privilege. Hermit's not a bad draw. Do we want to bring in the Flyer and hold up removal, or do we want to play the 2/1 and be protected against, like, Ren? I think we want the protection against Ren. I think we'll find it very tough to come back from that if that's what they have. But right now it feels like we're playing, like, a draft deck against the opponents. Okay. I mean, they definitely... This definitely speaks volumes about what these two cards are, right? You would never do that in a million years unless you were pretty sure that you had the ammunition to get through. So, like, we feel like these cards are another Chariot, another Ren. Okay. Sure. So if they have, like, Snakeskin Veil, is there any... I'm wondering whether to let them attack with the Faceless Haven or not. Usually you don't. Because you don't want them... If they use the Faceless Haven mana to deal with your attack, then you want them to not be able to actually commit to attacking with it. Okay, I mean... There's Delver. That's pretty nice. We're going to play the other Hermit out. What's the worst case scenario? It's probably Ren, right? If they have Ren, then next turn, like, they make the token. Next turn, we get to grasp the token, Bloodchief's Thirst the Ren. Or kill the token, kill the Ren. So I think I'm actually okay tapping out here. If they have Chariot, there's nothing we can do about it anyway. Sure. Okay, at least one of these was one of those two cards that they chose to play the the growth into our open counterspell anyway. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. Reveal that. All of a sudden, we're attacking for 7 in the air. Yeah. I like it. Let's just go. None of these have reach, right? Okay. That Divide is an excellent draw. Now we have counter spell and removal spell available. Not quite lethal next turn. Actually, we do have lethal next turn because we can play the Bloodchief's Thirst the following turn and pump one of our creatures with the Oracle. Or the Hall of Oracles. If they have, if their plan is to like jam another Unnatural Growth or whatever the name of that card is, yeah, Unnatural Growth, then we can divide it. And it wouldn't even be lethal anyway. Right now it's only for 8. And we're at 13. So I think we probably get there here. Blizzard Brawl. Sure. So we go to 11 here. Okay. So don't we just win? Yeah. Okay. Cool. That, seeing what those cards were makes me wonder what the opponent was doing, casting the Chariot and then the Unnatural Growth into our, like, face-up Malevolent Hermits. Because they did have convenient ways to play around it, it looks like. Okay, so mono green. I think against mono green, like, the Massacre is medium, but I think this is the matchup where we're going to try to just beat them dead. The Strokes I do like. Test of Talents isn't very good. And we don't really have any other options in the sideboard. So what's bad in the matchup? The Duresses are pretty medium, right? They do have targets, though. I think the Stowaways are probably the worst card, honestly. Everything else would pretty much want. Would I rather have a Duress or a Stowaway? Probably a Stowaway, honestly. I think we'll go with this. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe we went with the extra Duress on the draw and the extra Stowaway on the play. Okay. So no Delver again. Just not very good at drawing that in their opening hands. We have Haggard Mauling, which is like an okay removal spell. It's not great in the matchup. Duress will probably hit something. I don't love it, but I think we're keeping, especially on the draw. All we need is like one piece, right? If we draw Delver on turn 1, we're thrilled. No such luck. Are we playing the Mauling tapped? That's awkward if we do, because then if we play blue on turn 2, the Hive will come in tapped. So I think instead we hold out hope that we might one day cast this. And instead we'll just Duress now. Try to hit the Ranger class if they have it. Complete whiff. Yeah, they play the Pack Leader, which makes a lot of sense. We do find untapped land. There is some chance that we will eventually cast Haggard Mauling. No fight spell out of the opponent here. They're going to find it pretty tough to actually cast 2 spells next turn. I think we're playing the Stowaway and trying to get resources. Because it's going to be on... It's not going to become Night, I guess. Maybe this is a little too aggressive. Okay. So it looks like the plan here is to play the Mammoth and try to trigger Pack Tactics off the Werewolf next turn. But we have the answer for that in the form of divide by 0. Okay. I'm going to attack. Loot away something. I think I'm going to loot away the second stowaway, though. And we can make it become night here. Make this stowaway better. And probably divide the mammoth. If they have, like, Blizzard Brawl, then we can blow them out. We can't let them attack here, unfortunately. We don't want them to draw the card. What do we want? I feel like it's got to just be sciences. The life game, we want to curve out. And let's see, can they cast 2 spells here? It's a good one. Bloodchaser is a pretty good draw. So we really, really want them to power up this chariot to be able to kill it with the mauling, but that'll take our entire turn, and they can play around it fairly easily. It's also pretty obvious that we have something when we don't cast the sciences here. What's the alternative? We can Bloodchief's Thirst plus Witch, which I think I actually like significantly more. Play the Rebirth. Yeah, okay, I like this. Not sure they'll play around it. Yeah, maybe not, but, like, we have to assume that our opponent is, like, decent. Our worst fear now is them having, like, Ren as one of these 2 cards. Especially now that we're throwing away our only real answer to it. We are making it not night anymore, too. Which does suck. Okay, no Ren. So they're going to make a token with Chariot. Just like, okay. We don't love it. I guess they could make another clue. If they attack with the Chariot, are we double blocking it? Double blocking it seems insane, right? Yeah, we're just chumping it, the 1/1. Taking 4, taking 3 effectively. So once again, we're at the point where Sciences denies us the ability to play Mauling. We're just in serious trouble, realistically. Like, I think at this point we do kind of need the opponent to play into the Mauling. Yeah, I think so. We can attack with the Stowaway and see if we find untapped land. Actually, can we? We're attacking for 2, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay. Loot away one of these hermits. They're terrible. Okay. Sure. Alright. And we're hoping they power up the chariot. Maybe they can't resist. Okay. So Mammoth, land, use that to crew the chariot. Yeah, this hurts. So hopefully now we get to kill the, That's strange sequencing, right? So, like, we do this now in case they draw, like, Snakeskin Veil. Now what? Yeah. Okay. So we badly need to find one of those meat hook massacres. We're taking 6-5 here effectively, so we're going to 6. Yeah. Duress, not great at this point in the matchup. I think we, like, I think we need to jump with this thing at this point, unfortunately. The pressure's just too much. I think we're dead even if we do that, honestly. So I think we're just playing everything. And hopefully we hit like Ren. No, no such luck. And I guess we play this now in case they misplay and play like a non-creature spell into the Hermit. They've been known to do that in the past. But I don't see a way out of this one, unfortunately. I think this is just too much. Yeah, this is too much. How much do we meat hook for next turn? Meat hook for 4. And then we're dead to... Okay, I guess we can find... If we can live through this, we can find Meat Hook Massacre and maybe live. But that's going to be what it's going to... That's going to be what it takes. Okay, so... Block here. Block here. This is 3... 9. So we need to block... Oops. To block here as well. If the only out is Meat Hook Massacre, then there's no reason to attack with this. Next turn, we can attack with it for one last pull at it. Taking 6. Going down to 2, up to 4. Okay. Yep. So we're at the point now where the only out is Meat Hook Massacre, so we might as well attack with everything. Opponent knows this. No. Interesting, they take it. You're late. Where the hell have you been? Alright. Well, so this is like the third game in a row where our 4 of has just not appeared in the top 20 cards of the deck, which is kind of frustrating. On the play this time, I think this is. Oh, we actually didn't. We didn't bring in the massacres. That's right. Maybe they would have been better on the draw. I still think the way we win is just by getting down Delver, though. That said, like the stowaways and the duresses are so bad. All right, we'll do this. There he is. God bless America. Okay. Keep this. Probably binning this? I guess now that we have the Delver, we probably don't want the Massacre. Okay. Come on, flip. Flip. Yeah. Um, we have no way to hold up Dry Disruption without taking 3. But, like, it's kind of important to be able to kill the Ranger class should they have it. And we don't have another great way to deal with it. So probably, like, Agadeem's Awakening, untap, Jwari, whatever they play, then Witch the following turn. And I guess, like, if they play around it, we're happy too. Like, it's face up. They know exactly what's happening, but... Yeah, I think that's good enough to counter. It takes... Countering this takes them off of Chariot next turn. Hermit's not bad either. Hermit will probably be a better play next turn. With 1 mana open to play around their Chariot. Sator Witch also has Menace, which is relevant. Like, if they play 1 blocker, we can still attack through it. Tankle Trap. Yeah, okay. We're playing the other Hermit? No. We need to be able to counter the Chariot that they probably have. Like, their first few turns didn't really accomplish much. Casual 5 cards to 1. That's probably worth a counter. That's just too many cards, too much pressure. Yeah. Stroke's not bad. They are at 8. Blizzard Brawl, of course, plays perfectly around the Hermit. They do have to pay 3 life to do this. Okay. No blocks. Hopefully it's like Land Chariot. We get to stroke it. Bloodchase Thirst ain't bad either. So we can attack with the Hermit. They can power up the lair and exchange it. First things first, we are attacking. I think we're more than fine with this. This is great. So we can either cast the Thirst Hold Up Stroke for their Chariot, or we can get the 2/1 Flyer in play and Thirst the Pack Leader, which I think is where we want to be. I'm not sure what's holding priority there. Blizzard Brawl is too efficient? I mean, yeah, but you do need to have a creature in play, and it does get blown out super easily, right? Oh, yes. Give me that. Drawing the removal spell's pretty sweet, too. We can play another spell, Threaten Lethal. What are we scared of next turn? They play Chariot, we have 2 flyers in the air, we just win, right? Okay. Sure. You got it, opponent. Got there. Somehow or other, we got there. That block with the lair was, I think, pretty wild. All right. 1-1 with Delver. Yeah, like this deck, when it draws Delver on like turn 1 or 2, is completely different from when it doesn't. Um, we can't keep this. Yeah. This is better. Keeping this and, like, putting back Duress? Probably. Like, if we're already mulliganing, we don't really want to be trading things 1 for 1. And if they're a creature deck, that's probably the thing that scares us the most. Yeah, okay. And we'll play, I suppose, the Jwari Disruption tapped on turn 1. Okay. I still think we want to get the blue source into play, even though we're looking at Dimir. So it's like Dimir control, right? I don't think I want to play the Hermit out quite yet. Not until I have one of these rebirths available to protect it. So I'm just going to play this tapped. I doubt this, unless we're in, like, the mirror somehow. We're, like, the only person playing Delver right now. This is, like, the least useful land. Alright, so out comes the Shipwreck Marsh. In comes the Hermit. And we will deploy one of these to protect it from removal, which they somehow don't have. So what have they been doing for the first 3 turns, if not a removal spell in hand? They're probably working their way up to, like, Memory Deluge. They could have, like, Disdainful Stroke or something in hand. That would be one thing that they might have been holding up. Negate is a possibility. I think this matchup is going to be very hard, though. Like, we are all in on a couple, like, a very small number of threats. And Dimir is just, like, mono removal. This is going to be a tough one to fight our way through. Especially if we don't win game 1. Which on the draw was always going to be kind of tough. We do have outs to them disconnecting, though. If that's what happens. Is that what's going to happen? Turn 3 Malevolent Hermit for the win? I guess. Okay. Yeah, there you are. I'm not sure how aggressively in this deck that you're supposed to mulligan for the Delver. It feels like you just don't ever win if you don't draw it early, so maybe you are supposed to mulligan aggressively, but this was already a mull to 6, and we still didn't see it twice. Which is somewhat unlucky. Like, we're running 4 copies. I think you would expect us to find Delver more often than we have so far this game, this session. Are you guys entertained? I know I am. Doesn't matter what we do here. Sure, I'm gonna shock in the Agadeems. Hold up Disruption and the Rebirth. You're wildly entertained. That's good. I'm glad you guys are entertained. It's like the worst possible scenario, right? Like, I've got to keep playing this out and then, like, have to make a decision about whether or not I want to play yet another match to be able to fill out the YouTube video. Because at this point, like, there's no way that this makes the video, right? It does pad my stats, though. We get to say, hey, look, we beat Dimir Control with Delver, which is like the stone worst matchup. Sure. Okay, at least they're not making a sideboard. Okay, cool. So in that case, without having to play game 2, we'll just play out another one. And then I promised Harambe we'd play mono white, which is what we will do. But I'm going to call this 2-1. Kind of surprised it didn't make us go to sideboarding there. Okay. Okay. Let's do it. Turn 1 Delver. Opponent mulligans. Love it. Turn 1 Delver. Turn 2... Maybe Duress if we draw the untapped land. I'm like, this has got to be right. It feels bad to not have the black untapped on turn 2 when literally our hand is all black, but... Alright. Yeah, reveal it. You got it. Swing for 3. Go ahead, play your werewolf. Play your pack leader. That's not exactly what I had in mind. Is there any reason to duress at this turn? Not really, right? We're not worried about Chariot this turn. So this is just a turn where we thirst the 2-2, play a tap land, pump the brakes and go slow. And then next turn, if they play something and we draw untapped land, we can Sedgemoor Witch plus Bloodchief Thirst. Mammoth does dodge Thirst. It doesn't dodge Divide by 0. So I think... the play here is hold up Divide by 0 for the Mammoth. Maybe after they attack with it. And we'll take the opportunity now to duress away their Chariot, which they probably have. They have Chariot, they have Unnatural Growth, they have Blizzard Brawl. And they have another tracker. Irritating. But it's got to be the Chariot here. So what's coming next turn? We can play the Sedgemoor Witch. They're going to... They don't even have the land necessarily to be able to pump the Mammoth. Do we just play the Witch here and try to set up? They can Blizzard Brawl away the Witch. They don't have the snow to make this indestructible, though. I think I like the Witch. I think I'm willing to take 4 here. The question is, like, do you think this 3-2 is going to go coast to coast? Like, can we tempo them out just by holding up Divide by 0 here? And, like, maybe. Okay, so they didn't find the land, though. So taking 4 here paid off pretty well. And now we're going to get to make tokens with the Witch off the Divide by 0. We have Bloodchief's Thirst if they play... That's really strange sequencing, isn't it? Right? Like, isn't that weird? Okay. Sure. We go to 8. We can divide. Try to find out... We get our environmental sciences. Try to get our mana up. Can also just Bloodchief's Thirst the Mammoth. Make a token. They play their Unnatural Growth. We're just kind of getting in. Okay. I buy that. Like, worst case here, right? They play Untapped Land Unnatural Growth, and they don't have anything to pump with it. We're getting in for 4, and they can't realistically attack next turn. That's annoying. Okay, so now we can't attack anymore. But we can get a flyer into play. If they crew the chariot, then we can bounce it. I mean, that's not great either. That sucks. I think that was like the best possible draw. That was like one of the only things that could prevent us from attacking with the witch, right? Well, we can't bounce one of these 2/2s with the divide by 0, so. The other problem is that the divide by 0 is face up because of the Delver. So if they play the unnatural growth, I think we let it resolve and then see whether they're going to pump the chariot or not, or accrue the chariot or not. They choose not to. So their plan is going to be to use this 4/3 to crew the chariot. We can deny them that option. Try to get in the air with the Delver. And now if we draw the or if we hit a instant or sorcery off of the Delver, then we're in pretty great shape. And I think we just want Necrotic Fumes. Be able to sacrifice one of these pests to deal with a blocker that they leave back. Yeah, sure. That's pretty nice. So, attack in the air with the 3/2. We can Fumes the Tracker. Alternatively, I think I like this. This is fine. So we get to kill the tracker, which comes back. And we can... Well, we can Necrotic Fumes the 2/2. Do we want to? So next turn they play Chariot. And they have 3 blockers. We'll get in the air for 3. We'll have 4 attackers. Get in for 1. They won't quite be dead. I think we're doing it anyway. And then they're dead to removal spell. Otherwise, like, they will face lethal the following turn for sure. Actually, this has Menace, too. So maybe they are just dead. Okay, well, they're definitely dead to that. So they power up the Chariot. Yeah, okay. Cool. So, on the draw, I think what we've decided is that the Massacre is better on the draw, but I don't think I want it on the play against Mono Green. So I'm willing to ditch. I think the Duresses are pretty bad, too. I want the Strokes. Test of Talents seems kind of medium. Need to make 4 cuts. I think... Yeah, I think one of them is the Stowaway. Actually, you know, I think 2 of them are the Stowaways and 2 of them are the Duresses, because the Duresses are pretty important to deal with Ranger class on the draw, deal with Ren, deal with Chariot. It will hit something if we draw it early. On the play, I think I'm more interested in having the Stowaways just to get our beatdown plan. I think I'm fine with this. So no Delver. An unplayable Siphon Insight. We do have Divide by Zero. This hand, we do have the Massacre that we are very far from casting. Like, we need to make a decision about this blue-black source. We need double black for the Massacre. I still think we keep it. Like, the Witch and the Massacre are two of our most important spells. Divide by Zero is pretty important too. We could just rip turn 1 Delver like a boss. That seems pretty good too. Let's do that. Yeah. Reveal our black source. Life is great. So do we cast it now and then Siphon Insight on the end of their turn? Do we play the Hermit? Playing the Hermit is kind of nice. Costs 3 life for the privilege. We don't get to counter anything right away. It does mean that we can play the Hall, maybe like Siphon Insight and then pump with the Hall? No, that doesn't work. I think we just play this tapped. Pack leader plus presumably Blizzard Brawl. Probably. No. Okay. So that untapped land is also a pretty good draw. What could this be? Like, the only thing I can think of here is Snakeskin Veil. If they have Snakeskin Veil, then casting Divide by Zero on their pack leader in response to their Blizzard Brawl is kind of nasty. What's our alternative? It's to play the Sedgemoor Witch. That lets them attack with the Blizzard Brawl next turn. Maybe that's kind of okay. It does also play our Sedgemoor Witch into a Meathook Massacre, which I'm not a giant fan of. Can also play the Malevolent Hermit. And if they Blizzard Brawl, then we get to counter it if they don't play another land, which plays around Snakeskin Veil. I think we're just saying go. If they blow up the Divide by Zero, I guess they blow up the Divide by Zero. But if they invest a bunch of mana and stuff into killing our Delver, when we have a Meathook Massacre we kind of want to cast anyway, that's maybe not the worst. So, like, they have to know with how long we tanked that something bad is going to happen to this werewolf. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there it is. So we'll take 5 here. It does suck, but what are you going to do? Another Siphon Insight is really not where we want to be. So they might be afraid to pump this pack leader and draw a card in the face of what is probably a removal spell. They did just spend their Snakeskin Veil, so they're probably naked on this pack leader. Okay. So it is a 4/4. It's going to be a while before we can get this Massacre to the point where it'll kill it. I would love to be able to cast this Siphon Insight just to try to hit a land. Are we blocking here? If we block, they play land Ren, then we're in such terrible shape. I think we're just taking 4. Or taking 6 if that's what they decide they want. Okay. So we got to find land. Ooh, inscription. How does that look for us? If we get to kick it, Then we get to pump this up to a 4-3, kill the pack leader. If we don't draw untapped land, though, this is disaster. Like, this doesn't really accomplish anything. Because just the fight spell on its own doesn't kill anything. I think we're just taking the land and trying to make this massacre eventually good. We did draw the untapped land, which is pretty tilting. So I think we're just... We're chumping with the 2-1. They're going to draw a card off their pack leader, and we just sort of accept that. Can also play the witch to its death. Force them to invest more in the board. Does keep us alive longer. We are going to draw some cards off the Siphon Insight. Okay. Oh, what a... Was there no way to play that and hold up Siphon Insight? Ah. My plan was to be able to Siphon Insight and make a token off the Sedgemoor Witch, and I'm sure there was a way to do that. Like if we tap the hall instead of the island. That's really frustrating. Okay, and now if they play their Chariot, then... If they play their Chariot, we get to wipe the board with Massacre, and that's okay. If they play Ren, then we are in deep, deep trouble. So, like, I'm considering taking 6 here. Just to keep the Hermit available in case they have Ren. It's tough. I think that's what I'm doing. And we're more likely to be able to fight through something with the Massacre. Also, having a creature on the board when we play the Massacre does give us a little bit of value. Okay. So if they have Snakeskin Veil, this is a blowout. Nothing we can do about that. Like, they clearly have something. They chose not to pump the pack leader. So the fact they didn't do anything there makes me pretty sure they do have the Ren. Chariot, okay. This guy keeps showing up late for work. Don't like it very much. So what's the right sequencing here? We have 6 mana available. Faceless Haven is a significant problem. So probably the right sequencing is to start with Siphon Insight. See if we can hit like a creature that we'd like to put into play that isn't Malevolent Hermit. That's not bad. Okay, change of plans. We're playing that for sure. Also, of course, when our stuff dies, we get to ping them, and they are somehow at 11 here. Yeah, Ren is a serious problem though. Like that 8/8. I'm not sure how we deal with that. Now that they're going to copy it with the Chariot. So a Meat Hook Massacre is not going to be good enough. They're going to have 2 8/8s. We need 2 kill spells. And I don't know how we get there. We need multiple turns. I'm gonna throw away this Chariot. Trade my Chariot for theirs. Keep multiple blockers on the field. rather than block with these 2/2s and then not be able to crew the chariot later. What does that do for us? We can bring back a witch, a delver, and a hermit. That's pretty good. Yeah, and it gets the witch in play so that if we draw, like next turn, we can make tokens off of it too, if that's what we decide we want to do. Okay. Oh, we don't have triple black. Never mind. That's annoying. Okay, so it's Hermit, Delver, Hermit. And hopefully don't die. And are we playing the Aghanim Awakening tapped? Probably. If we draw untapped black, then we would really like to have this in our hand. If we don't draw it, then is there anything next turn that we're going to want to use 7 mana on? Possibly, with the Siphon Insights, right? Yeah. Okay, we'll play this tapped. And hopefully they don't have a way to give trample. We have gone through a bunch of their crap. Lair of the Hydra is an unfortunate one. That's going to be tough for us to fight through as well. Okay. So... how do we block? Here we take exactly 6. It's not good enough. We need to block. Actually, can we do this? Here we take 4, gain 3. So we go to 5. Next turn, we hopefully have 5 damage in the air. I don't think there's a better way. We definitely need some help. Okay. Maybe we're supposed to double block the Faceless Haven to kill it. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we're quite going to get there this time. Yeah, we'll reveal that, but I think that's too little too late. So... well... we're so close, right? Because if we go face... oh, we do have it! Oh, no, we don't have it. Ah... oh, we do have it. Never mind, I'm dumb. Watch this. This is going to be pretty sweet. Right? We attack for 5 in the... yeah, okay. Siphon Insight, target you. Don't think it matters much what we play. What we pick. Play the land. Hall activate. Attack for 6. Bloodchief's Thirst, the Delver. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good lethal. Okay. 2-1 for real with the Delver deck. That was a lot of fun. That was a nice little puzzle at the end. That was pretty cool. All right.